My Audrina, part 3, the second half of A Second Life. You can't leave the house on the day your niece comes home. She thinks of you as her father, Damien, regardless of what you call your relationship. We can always dine out, and go to the movies. Damien, please don't embarrass me again. You've been so kind and generous. I'd be so disappointed if you... There she broke off, looking at him with tears in her eyes. Her tears of distress seemed to affect him greatly. All right, he said, turning down to Vera. I want to see as little of you as possible, and the day after Thanksgiving you leave. Is that understood? Vera nodded meekly. Bowing her head, she sat down to lock her legs together and form a lap on which she could demurely fold her hands, a well-trained, modest young woman, and modesty was something Vera had never possessed. Anything you want, Uncle Damien. I turned my head just in time to see Arden gazing at her pityingly. From one to the other I stared, sensing it had already begun, the seduction of my husband. In no time at all, Vera and Billy were fast friends. You, dear woman, wonderful woman, to take on all this housework all by yourself when my father could easily afford a maid and a housekeeper. I marvel at you, Billy Lowe. Audrina helps a great deal, said Billy. Give her credit, too. I was in the powder room down the hall from the kitchen, tediously trying to untangle Sylvia's wild mop of chestnut curls. Pausing, I waited to hear what Vera had to say to Billy. But it was Billy who spoke again. Now, if you do your bit and run the vacuum in the best 2 salons, I'd really be grateful. Be sure to use the attachments on the lampshades, furniture, and draperies. It would help Audrina. She really has her hands full trying to teach Sylvia how to talk and move correctly, and she's succeeding, too. You're kidding. That kid can't really talk, can she? Yes, she can say a few easy words. Nothing is clearly enunciated, but understandably if you listen closely. Holding Sylvia by the hand, we followed Vera to watch her enter the Roman Revival salon, where she pushed the vacuum without enthusiasm. I loved Billy for putting her to work without asking, as if she assumed Vera would be willing. Not to be willing was full Vera's game. At least I thought it was a game. Vera pushed and pulled the vacuum, but all the time her eyes were on the many treasures. While the machine idled, she pulled out a notepad and began to write, very quietly, leaving Sylvia in the hall. I slipped up behind her to read over her shoulder. 1. Vacuum, dust, use furniture polish. Mirrors, huge, go to leave worth a fortune. 2. Pick up newspapers, arrange magazines neatly. Lamps, Tiffany, Benton, solid brass, priceless. 3. Should make beds before coming downstairs. Genuine antiques everywhere now, oil paintings, originals. 4. Help with laundry. Don't use bleach on towels. Oriental and Chinese rugs, bric-a-brac of porcelain and blown glass, especially birds. Run for the mail early. Never forget. Checks stored in his office safe. Never saw so many checks come in the mail. What an interesting way to list your chores, I said, when she sensed my presence and whirled around, looking startled. Along with the valuables, you want to run for the mail? Are you planning to rob us, Vera? You little sneak. How dare you steal up on me and read over my shoulder? One always watches the cat who becomes very quiet. Is it really necessary to list everyday ordinary chores? Don't they come naturally to you? As for the rest, most of it was here before. Everything has been refurbished and polished, that's all. Papa hunted up some older Whiteford antiques that had been sold. Since you weren't impressed before, why be impressed now? For a moment it seemed she might slap me. Then she sagged limply into a chair. Oh, Audrina, don't fight with me. If only you knew the horror of being with a man who doesn't want you. Lamar hated me for forcing him to take me with him to New York. I kept insisting I was pregnant, and he kept insisting I couldn't be. When we reached New York, we moved into a boarding house, and he went to teach at Juilliard. He was always throwing you in my face, saying he wished I was more like you, and then maybe he could have loved me. The fool. The man could enjoy a woman like you? What man could? Then she flashed me a strange look and allowed tears to trickle from her eyes. I'm sorry. You're very beautiful in your own way. Well, while Lamar taught, I started my student nurse training. The pay wasn't enough to feed a parakeet. In what little spare time I had, I did more modeling for an art school. I told Lamar he could do the same thing in his spare time, but he was too modest to take off his clothes. Models don't wear a stitch. I've always been proud of my body. Stupid Lamar was too modest to do that, and too proud. He hated me more for showing myself to all those men in the classes. Every time I modeled, I'd come home to find him dead drunk. Soon he was drinking so much he didn't have any job at all. He lost his touch at the piano, forcing us to move to a slum area where he taught music to poor kids who never had the money to pay him. That's when I left. I was fed up. The day I graduated as a registered nurse, I picked up the newspaper to read that Lamar had drowned himself in the Hudson River. She sighed and stared into space. Just another funeral I had to miss. I worked the day they buried him. I was glad his parents came to claim his body, or else he might have ended up one of the cadavers in the hospital where I worked. She grimaced before she looked downward. A heavy silence filled the room. I bowed my head and weighed down with sorrow for a man who'd wanted to help me and had fallen instantly into Vera's trap that she had set. I knew who had done the seducing. I suppose you're thinking I'd help kill him, aren't you? I don't know what to think. No, of course you don't. You've had it easy, staying on here and being taken care of. You've never had to face the real world and all the ugliness out there and all the things you have to do in order to stay alive. I've done it all, Audrina, the whole can of worms. I came back to help if you don't want me. Sobbing, tears began to course down her cheeks, and she fell into the sofa. Disbelievingly, I watched her cry. Billy, who must have been listening, came scooting into the room. In a flash, she was on the sofa beside Vera, trying to comfort her. Instantly, Vera bolted. A short, hysterical scream escaped her lips, and she fell. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that I don't like to be touched. I understand. Billy lowered herself into the dolly and disappeared. You've hurt her feelings, Vera, and you promised that as long as you're in this house, you would never say or do anything to hurt Billy or make her feel unwanted. Vera said she understood. She was sorry, and never, never would she pull away again. It was just that she was unaccustomed to being touched by a legless woman, a cripple. I stared down at her shoe with an inch lift, perversely enjoying the way she blanched. You can't notice my limp now, can you? She asked. We all have small things wrong with us, such as yours for forgetting. Soon Arden was telling me whenever we were alone, usually not until we were in bed, what a wonderful help Vera was, taking so much work off his mother's shoulders and mine. We should all be glad she's back to help. I turned on my side and closed my eyes. To turn my back was my way of telling him to leave me alone. Quickly he turned me against his front so that my back was fitted into the warm curve of his body. Our breathing coordinated even as those uncontrollable hands of his began to search out the curves he wanted to trace again and again. Don't be jealous of Vera, darling. It's you I love, only you. And once more I had to let him prove it. Thanksgiving Day came and went, and Vera stayed on. For some odd reason, Papa stopped ordering her to leave. Our reasons, he saw how much help she was to Billy. Why, I taught Sylvia how to talk, to walk, to dress herself, to comb her own hair, to wash her own face and hands. Slowly, slowly, Sylvia was emerging from her cocoon. With each new skill she mastered, her eyes came more into focus, and she began to make a real effort to keep her lips together and not let the drooling begin. In some ways, it was like finding myself, as I taught her all she needed to know. In the first and best Audrina's playroom, she seemed to learn best. On my lap, while we rocked together, I'd read to her from Mother Goose and simple books for very young children of 2 or 3. With the dolls and stuffed animals on the shelves for schoolmates, we sometimes sat at the table and ate our lunch, and it was there that Sylvia picked up a tiny spoon and stirred the bit of tea in her miniature cup. And one day, very soon, Sylvia's going to pick up her own knife and fork, and she will cut her own meat. Cut meat, she repeated, trying to pick up the fork and knife and hold them, as I was demonstrating. Who is Sylvia? Who is... Tell me your name. That's what I want to hear. Tell me your name. No, what is your name? No, what is your name? Sylvia, you're doing wonderfully well today. But do try to think about the reasoning behind what I tell you. Everyone and everything must have a name, or else we wouldn't know what to call one another, or how to know a chair from a lamp. Take me, for instance. My name is Audrina. My name is Audrina. No. Yes, my name is Audrina, but your name is Sylvia. I picked up the hand mirror, the first Audrina had, on a small table, held it before Sylvia and pointed. See in the mirror? That is Sylvia. Then I held the mirror so my face was reflected, and again I let her look so she could see what I was trying to import. That is Audrina in the mirror. And at the same time I pointed to myself, Audrina. And then I pointed to her. That is Sylvia. You are Sylvia. Some flickering small light lit up her lovely aqua eyes. They widened and focused on the mirror. She grabbed for it and stared at her reflection. Sylvia. Sylvia. Over and over again she said it, laughing, jumping up and dancing awkwardly around the playroom, hugging the mirror hard against her small chest. My name is Sylvia. I ran to hug her, to kiss her, to reward her with cookies I'd hidden in a drawer. I turned with the cookies to see what all the happiness had bled from Sylvia's eyes. Sylvia was frozen, her eyes unfocused, her lips gapped, and the spittle ran. Once more she went mute. Vera stood in the doorway. She wore the expression of an angel as she looked us both over. Lambs for the slaughtering, I thought involuntarily. Go away, Vera, I ordered coldly, hurrying to protect Sylvia. I told you before not to come up here when I'm teaching Sylvia. Fool, you can't teach an idiot anything. She's just repeating what she hears you say like a parrot. Go help Billy in the kitchen. I'm so damn sick of preparing meals and cleaning house. My God, it seems nobody does anything in this house but eat, sleep, and work. When do you have fun? When the work is finished, Vera, I answered angrily. I caught hold of Sylvia's hand and started for the door. Rock in the chair, Vera. I'm sure nothing I've seen there would make you scream, for you've known it all along. The whole can of worms. Screaming like a demon straight from the pits of hell, my small sister ran to hurl herself at Vera. She tore into her, scratching and kicking, and as Vera tried to ward her off, Sylvia clamped her teeth down on Vera's arm. Violently, Vera slammed Sylvia to the floor. You screwy little idiot, get out of here. I'm just as much right in this room as you have. I ran to save Sylvia from more harm as Vera raised her foot to kick, aiming for Sylvia's pretty face. But before I could reach her, Sylvia rolled out of harm's way, and in so doing, her shoe caught behind Vera's foot and threw her off balance. Vera crashed to the floor like a felled tree, and then came the howl of pain. Even before I knelt to check, I could tell from the grotesque position of her left leg that Vera had again broken it. Damnation, that last thing we needed was an invalid to wait on. Fretting and fuming, I paced the Roman revival room as Arden and Papa come home, carrying Vera with another cast on her broken leg. Her black eyes met mine, challenged me as one of her arms encircled Arden's neck. The other was around Papa. They supported her on the cradle they made with their arms. Audrina, said Arden, run for pillows to stack behind Vera's back. She'll need others to raise her leg above her heart level. She's got to wear that thing 7 to 8 weeks. Slowly I gathered several pillars from other sofas and stuffed them behind Vera. Arden tenderly lifted her heavy cast leg and put 4 more pillows under it. Her red toenails wiggled like little warning flags as he tended to her. How did Vera fall anyway? Asked Billy. That night, as I helped her prepare dinner, an accident. I heard Vera tell you that Sylvia deliberately hooked her foot behind her anchor, but I was there and it was an accident. It was not an accident, screamed Vera. That rat did it deliberately. Audrina, I hope that's not true. Billy threw Sylvia an uneasy glance. Once again, Sylvia was riding on the little red cart. You know, Billy, both you and Arden find it very hard to believe anything I say about Vera. I don't mean to be overly critical, but it was a first real breakthrough for Sylvia. I saw her eyes light up with understanding, and then Vera had to show up at the door. I heard Sylvia singing as she raced up and down the hall. Just a playroom, safe in my home, only a playroom. I almost dropped the spoon in the steaming gravy. Who had taught Sylvia to sing that song? Are you all right, darling? Asked Billy. I'm fine, but I can't remember teaching Sylvia to sing that song. Did you hear her singing, Billy? No, darling, I didn't hear her singing. I thought that was Vera's voice. She sings that song a lot. It's like a child's song, a reassurance, rather pitiful. It makes me hurt to think that Damien didn't show Vera more kindness, and she's trying to make him appreciate her. Silently, I poured the gravy into its bowl, then carried it into the dining room. On the way back, I pulled Sylvia off the cart and scolded her. How many times do I have to tell you to leave that cart alone? It's not yours. Go ride the tricycle Papa gave you. It's red and pretty. Pouting her lower lip, Sylvia backed away from me. I pushed the cart with my foot into the kitchen. That evening, Papa and Arden picked up the purple chaise with Vera still laying there like an orange-haired Cleopatra, and she ate with us in the dining room. I hated seeing her on Mama's purple chaise, but there Vera lay, day after day, reading those same paperbacks and novels she had read years and years ago. Sylvia retreated into herself, refusing to enter the playroom to be taught again, because Papa had to have gourmet meals and no longer could Billy be given relief by eating in restaurants with him. She did nothing but cook. I did all the housework, all the laundry, though Arden did what he could after he'd come home from work. Papa was always too busy or too tired to do anything but talk or watch TV. A month after the new year had come and gone, I led Sylvia into the playroom to continue our lessons. I'm sorry I've neglected you, Sylvia. If Vera hadn't broken her leg, I bet you'd be reading by now. So let's go back to where we left off. What's your name? We had reached the playroom door, and to my surprise, and Sylvia's too, Billy was in the rocker. She blushed when we caught her. It's silly, I know, but if there's magic in this chair, I want a little for myself. Don't laugh. But I've got a dream, a wonderful dream that occupies most of my thoughts. I'm hoping this chair will help my dream come true. I questioned your father. He said anything is possible if you believe. So here I am, and I'm believing. Come, Sylvia, let me hold you on my lap. Be my little girl today and tell me what your name is. No, wailed Sylvia, loud enough to bring Vera bobbling down the hall. Bad, yelled Sylvia, pointing at Vera. Bad. Sylvia would not sit on Billy's lap, but on another day, Papa found us both there rocking and singing together. Just you, my love, he said, looking at me and never at Sylvia. Rock alone. Become the empty pitcher that fills with everything wonderful. I ignored him, thinking him a fool on that particular subject. I turned to Sylvia, wanting to show off her in front of Papa. Darling, tell Papa your name. Tell him my name, too. My small sister on my lap made her beautiful but sometimes terrible eyes vacant, so that I looked straight through him. I wanted to cry. I'd worked so hard, denied myself many trips to the city with Arden to stay home and teach Sylvia. Now she refused to give me the reward I felt I needed. Oh, said Papa in disgust. You're wasting your time. Give it up. My husband seldom came home before 9 or 10 at night. Often he missed dinner, explaining this by saying he had so much paperwork to do. And there are so many distractions at home. Now, don't jump on Damien. It's not his fault but my own. I just don't catch on as quickly as I should. The very next night, Arden came home with even more papers to read. Financial reports, financial advisory services, technical stock charts, tax shelters to evaluate. More work than Papa had ever assigned to him before. At 2 in the morning, I woke to see Arden still at her small bedroom desk, reading, making notes, his eyes tired and bloodshot. Come to bed, Arden. Can't, honey. Today your father took off somewhere and left me in charge of the firm. I couldn't take care of my own affairs when his are more important, and now I have to catch up. He stood up and stretched, then headed for the shower. Cold water will wake me up. In another moment, he was back at the bathroom door, begging to take off his clothes as he stood in a troubled way. Well, there I was in Damien's office, in charge, and I knew damn well he was expecting me to make every mistake possible so he could shout and humiliate me again in front of everybody. It was a quiet day, and as I sat behind his massive desk and waited for the telephone to ring, I started looking for something and discovered the drawers were very short. I couldn't understand why such a large desk had short drawers, so I fooled around and soon found several small secret compartments way in the back of the drawers. Fully out of his clothes now, he stood there naked, as if he wanted me to look at him, something I could never do without quivering and blushing, though he said nothing sexual to me or indicated he wanted me to do more than listen. I sensed a kind of expectation. Audrina, I'm not an expert bookkeeper, but when I found a ledger in one secret compartment, I couldn't resist leafing through it and doing a little calculating. Your father borrows money from his more dormant accounts, uses it to invest in his own account, and when he's made a nice profit, he puts the money back in months later. His clients never know the difference. He's been doing it for years and years. Blankly, I stared at him. That's not all he does either, Arden went on. Just the other day, I heard him telling one of his wealthiest clients that the stock certificates she found in her attic were worthless except for framing. She mailed him the certificates to frame and hang in his office. A little gift, she told him. Audrina, they were Union Pacific stocks that have split time and time again. When she gave him that little gift, she gave him hundreds of thousands of dollars, and she's 82 years old. Rich but old. He probably thinks she's got enough and doesn't need it nearly as much as he does, and he must figure she's too old to find out he's cheated her. He yawned again and rubbed his eyes, and again he seemed boyish. You know, for the longest time I wondered why he collected old stock certificates. Now I know why he wants them. He sells them on the West Coast. It's no wonder he's so rich now, no wonder at all. I should have known he had to be doing something dishonest to have so much cash to invest. But only a few years ago we couldn't even afford meat on our table. Oh, how dumb not to have guessed years ago. I looked at him anxiously. Something sweet, young, and wistful and yearning was in his eyes that pleaded for me to come to him. And this time I felt the stirrings of sexuality in my own body, responding to his call. Alarmed by my surprising arousal, I whirled around to leave. I couldn't let Arden distract me. I had to confront Papa with his thieving ways. Arden, you didn't say anything to Papa about his embezzling funds, did you? I heard a sigh, no. Besides, when I checked the secret compartments in his desk later, they were empty. He looked toward the windows, his lips tightening, as if he gave up in trying to entice me. I suppose Damien thinks of everything and has some way of dictating when those papers and ledgers were tampered with. Go to bed. I'm going to Papa. I wish you wouldn't. He'll wonder how you know. I won't say anything that will let him know who told me. I waited for him to protest again, but he turned and headed for bed. I leaned above him and kissed him goodnight. Audrina, do you really love me? Sometimes in the night I wake up and wonder why you married me. I hope it wasn't just to escape your father. Yes, I love you. It may not be the kind of love you want, but maybe one day soon you'll be surprised. Let's hope so, he muttered before he fell into exhausted sleep. If only I had stayed in bed that night and given to Arden what he needed. If only I hadn't thought I could always set everything right. I expected Papa to be asleep at almost 3 in the morning. Certainly I didn't expect to see the thin line of yellow light under his closed bedroom door. I expected to hear his laughter and a woman's... any more than I expected to hear his laughter and a woman's smothered giggle. I stopped short, not knowing what to think or do. Had he been so insensitive as to bring home one of his playmates, as Mama used to sarcastically call him? Now you stop that, Damien, said a voice I couldn't help but recognize. I gotta go now. We can't risk letting the children find out about this. Not for 1 second did I stop to consider what to do once I knew who was with him, nor did I think of the consequences of my impulsive actions. I threw open the door and stepped into the dimly lit room that Papa had redecorated since Mama died. Red-splotched wallpaper with gold-framed mirrors everywhere made his room seem an opulent 18th century boudoir. They were in bed together, Arden's legless mother and my father, playing intimately with each other. When they saw me, Billy gasped and snatched her hand away. Papa quickly yanked up the covers to conceal them both, but I'd seen enough. There was such a red rage in my brain, I wanted to scream out every word I could think of later, but not now. All I could do was yell at her, "You whore!" And then at him I hurled, "You filthy son of a bitch, leave my house, Billy. I never want to see you again. Arden and I are leaving you, Papa, and taking Sylvia with us." Billy began to cry. Papa slipped discreetly from the covers and pulled on a red robe. "You silly little girl. As long as Billy wants to stay, she will." Insulted, feeling Billy had betrayed me and Arden too, I whirled about and raced back to my room to find Arden had gotten up from bed to resume his work. However, it had done him little good. He was slumped over on his desk, fast asleep on his papers. Sympathy rushed to erase my anger, and gently I woke him and helped him off with his robe. Then with my arm about his waist, I assisted him into the bed, and in his arms I lay as he fell asleep. All night long I fretted before I reached my conclusion. It wasn't Billy's fault, it was Papa's. He'd seduced her with his gifts, with his charm, with his good looks, so he could have the kinky thrill of having sex with a legless woman. I couldn't drag Billy out. It was Papa who had to leave, so we could all live decent lives. And now I had the perfect weapon to force him to go. I threatened to expose him for the fraud and embezzler he was. Even if he hadn't hidden the incriminating ledgers, I had all the information I needed about his illegal stock advisory firm in San Francisco, and that alone would be enough threat. However, it wasn't to be that way. Billy came to me nearly the next day, soon after Arden and Papa left for work. Her eyes were red-rimmed and swollen, and her face seemed very pale. "Audrina, please, I wanted to sink through the floor last night when you stormed into his room. I know what you think, but it wasn't that way. Really, it wasn't." Viciously, I tore the brush through my hair. "Listen to me, please. I love Damien, Audrina. He's the kind of man I always wanted, but never had." Spinning around, my eyes blazed as I tried to scream out all my anger, but for some reason her tears stopped me. The colors in her eyes made me feel strange, as too many colors always did. She had a habit of always wearing bright clothes: crimson, scarlet, magenta, electric blue, emerald green, purple, and bright yellows, colors flashing, colors in the tinkling wind chimes when trouble came. "Turn your back and close your mind as well as your ears, but I think he loves me too, darling. Maybe you think because I'm a cripple he can't love me. Still, I think he does, and even if he doesn't, I'll just be grateful he gave me a little of what I've always wanted. A real man. Compared to him, my 3 husbands were little boys playing at being men. Damien would never have left me. I know he wouldn't have." I'd look at her then to see if she truly believed her words. Her beautiful eyes pleaded just as her hands reached out to me, and I stepped farther away. She rode closer to me. "Listen to what I say. Put yourself in my position, and maybe you'll understand why I love him. Arden's father walked out on us the day I lost my second leg. He was a weak man who expected me to support him with my skating. When I couldn't, he sought out another woman who could. He never writes. He stopped sending child support long before Arden came of age. I had to earn what I could, and you knew yourself that Arden had worked like a man since he was 12, even before that." "Don't," I wanted to yell. "What you do with him is ugly, unforgivable, and you should have known better. We were bound to find out, bound to. Your father's the kind of man who needs a woman in his life, just as my son is. Damien hates being alone, hates doing anything alone. He likes to come home and smell the good food cooking. He likes someone to run his home, to keep it clean, to take care of his clothes, and I'd gladly do that for him, even if he never marries me. Audrina, doesn't love make it not ugly? Doesn't love make all the difference, doesn't it?" I didn't believe Papa loved her. Standing with my back to her, I stiffened and wanted to scream. "All right, darling," she whispered. "Hate me if you must, but don't make me leave the only real home I've ever had, and the only real man who's ever loved me." Pivoting to confront her, I said sarcastically, "Perhaps you'd be interested to hear that my Aunt Elizabeth loved him as much as you say you do, and he claimed he loved her too. Regardless, he soon tired of her, and night after night, after she slaved all day to prepare his meals and keep his house clean and take care of his children, he still had other women. She ended up just a slave. That's what she used to call herself, his kitchen and bedroom slave. Is that what you want for yourself?" I paused, gasping for breath as I heard the TV in Vera's bedroom giving the morning news. Lazy, lazy Vera, who seldom got up until noon. "There will come a day when he will stop loving you, Billy. A day when he'll look at you and say such ugly words you won't have any ego left. He'll have some other woman he'll say he loves like no other before, and you'll be the only another notch on his belt with many notches of conquest." She winced as I slapped her. Fresh tears came to shine her blue eyes, but perhaps she cried too many times before to let them spill because of anything I could say. "If a kitchen slave is all I'll ever be to Damien, or just another conquest, even so, Audrina, I'll be grateful. Even so." When I lost my legs, I thought that I never again would a man want to hold me and love me. Damien doesn't make me feel like a whole woman again. That I smile and act cheerful, Audrina, and that's the facade I wear, like a pretty dress. The ugly dress I wear is the fact that I hate the way I am now, There's not a day goes by when I don't think of the way I used to be, graceful and strong, with the agility to do anything, and when I walk down the street I pulled all admiring eyes my way. Damien is giving me back the pride I used to feel. You don't know what it's like to feel half a woman, to be restored and completed again, even if only temporarily. It's better than the blackness I faced before.